Hello and welcome to my Blu-ray Collection Part 2. If you haven't seen the first one, it doesn't really matter. I only had 3 Blu-rays and it was just the rest were Xbox One games. And I'll show you the 3 Blu-rays that I had then. Had Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, good action, really good action movie, great stunts from Tom Cruise. Next we have Prisoners, which when I showed it, I didn't actually watch, and I've watched it and it was absolutely brilliant and was one of the best films last year. And here is my favourite film of all time, The Dark Knight, because I'm a big superhero fan. This movie is great and it was directed by my favourite director, Christopher Nolan. Right, now let's start with the new ones. I made my Blu-ray collection in the beginning of summer holidays, which was the end of July. I had 3. I now have about 20 something. So I got a lot. Let's start with a film that came out on Blu-ray last week. Which is Bad Neighbours. Didn't see it at the cinema. Didn't really have time, but it is a really funny comedy and probably the funniest movie of the year. Zac Efron was brilliant in it, which is a surprise, and I do love Seth Rogen. Now let's move on to a film that I haven't seen yet. Seven Psychopaths. Haven't seen it yet. Planning on watching it soon. Next on we move to Signs. Haven't seen it. Next we move on to 127 Hours, which is a really good film, directed by Danny Boyle, starring James Franco, who is brilliant in this movie. Another film with James Franco in it, This Is the End, which is one of the funniest films I've ever seen. Stars Jay Baruchel, Seth Rogen, Danny McBride, Craig Robinson, Jonah Hill, and has guest appearances from Chris Mintz-Plasse and Michael Cera, and is a brilliant comedy film with actually some good special effects at the end as well. We're moving to another film I haven't seen, which is Buried, starring Ryan Reynolds, which I have not seen yet, but I really do want to see it. Next up is Blade Runner, which is a science fiction film that came out in 1982, I believe, and I have seen it. I've only watched it once, and it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it, but a bit complicated because this is the final cut, which hasn't got the voiceover, so it's a bit complicated. But very special effects were absolutely brilliant. Now moving on to another one of my favorite films, which is Source Code, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Michelle Monaghan. Is that Michelle Monaghan? I don't know. Brilliant science fiction film with a kind of like Groundhog Day, where he has to live, not really the same day, but live the same 7 minutes to try and find a bomb on a train, and it is very good, and great acting from Jake Gyllenhaal. Moving on to a film directed by Ben Affleck and stars Ben Affleck, The Town. Have not watched it yet. Also has Jeremy Renner and John Hamm in it. Have not seen it yet, but I'm planning on watching it tomorrow. Another film which I have not seen yet, but I bought it a couple of weeks ago, is Django Unchained, directed by Quentin Tarantino. Haven't watched it yet, so I haven't got any opinions. Moving on to another one of my favourite films, directed by my favourite director, Inception. This film is absolutely brilliant film, directed by Christopher Nolan. Special effects are great, and has a really good cast with Ellen Page, Tom Hardy, Leonardo DiCaprio, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Kim Watanabe is in it, I believe. Yeah, and Michael Caine's in it. Also, big fan of Michael Caine apparently. Christopher Nolan seems as in the Batman trilogy, and I think he's in Insomnia or The Prestige, can't remember. And he's in Christopher Nolan's new film, Interstellar, which should be absolutely brilliant. Now let's move on to one of my favourite movies of the year, and probably one of my favourite animated movies of all time, the Lego Movie. Now I'm a big fan of Lego, and this movie is just great, and the voice work by Chris Pratt, Morgan Freeman, and Will Ferrell is just outstanding, and is very funny, especially for adults and teens, more than kids, but it's a very good kids and adult movie. If you haven't seen it, you really need to see this. Moving on to some more Christopher Nolan, Batman Begins. I've actually never seen this because it came out when I was 5, and some reason I've never watched it. I don't know why. I'm halfway through and it is really, really good. I've only just got to the bit where he becomes Batman. Moving on to Dark Knight Rises to finish the Dark Knight trilogy. This film is really good. Some points don't really make sense, like how he got back into Gotham so quickly, and how he even got him in the first place, which doesn't actually make any sense. But great film. Tom Hardy as Bane is absolutely brilliant. Nowhere near Heath Ledger as the Joker, but very, very good film. Especially the scene where the guy's running in the stadium and the ground breaks behind him. That was a brilliant scene. Now moving on to my favourite film of the year so far, Captain America the Winter Soldier. Now, my favourite superhero is Captain America, and I have got this, okay, action figure of Captain America, and behind me I have a Captain America poster in Guardians of the Galaxy. He is my favourite superhero, and this film is probably one of my favourite superhero films, other than Dark Knight, obviously. But brilliant acting from Scarlett Johansson, Samuel L. Jackson, Chris Evans, and from Anthony Mackie. And who else was I can't remember who played Bucky, but he was brilliant in the film. Very, very good film. No, not really many complaints. Some people complain about the story, but I haven't really got a problem with it. Moving on to a film that came out last year that I haven't seen, American Hustle. Bought this on Blu-ray, haven't seen it, but it's got my favourite actor, Christian Bale, in it, so need to watch that. Now moving on to one of my favourite movies of all time, and probably my most memorable kids film when I watched as a kid, is Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, Indiana Jones is probably one of my favourite movies, not my favourite movies of all time, but yeah, probably my favourite movies of all time. Raiders of the Lost Ark is a brilliant, brilliant film, brilliantly acted by Harrison Ford, but it's not my favourite. My favourite is The Last Crusade, then Raiders of the Lost Ark, then Temple of Doom, and then Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but we can just forget about that. And moving on to another one of my favourite comic book movies, Kick-Ass. Now this movie is brilliant, I heard a lot about it, but I never really watched it, and I bought it for £3 actually. That's like $5, and it was brilliant. Great acting from Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Chloe Grace Moretz, and actually a surprise performance from Nicolas Cage. And now moving on to another movie, my last one, The Collection, which not many people liked, but I quite enjoyed it. It's Kick-Ass 2. Now, Jim Carrey was good, very good now actually. Chloe Grace Moretz, Kristen Mintz-Plasse, and Aaron Taylor-Johnson were good, but a lot of people didn't like it because of the crudeness in it, but I quite enjoyed it. Some of the crude was didn't really need to be in there, but I really enjoyed this movie, and I disagree with Rotten Tomatoes' review of it. Now, that is my Blu-ray collection, and I would just like to point out that I will be doing a review on this game, Destiny. This is the best game of the year for me. A lot of bad reviews for it, not bad, but mediocre reviews. In my opinion, it is one of my favourite games of all time. I'm a big Halo fan, sci-fi fan. Peter Dinklage is a really good voice actor in it. So is Bill Nighy. We'll be doing a review of this. It is a great game. Now, I'd just like to be doing some stuff now. In my last video, I would like to be showing you some stuff that I picked up in Southampton from Forbidden Planet. I bought this, my McFly vinyl. I really like this for about £8, and the Gandalf one is really, really good. And I also picked up this Deadpool money bank thing, which is really cool. Really like Deadpool, looking forward to the movie because of the leaked footage. And yeah, that's basically it from me. I should be doing a review of Destiny soon. Not many movies that I want to see are coming out at the moment, but a lot of game reviews coming soon because the amount of games that are coming out is ridiculous. So stay tuned and goodbye.